The film opens with a narrator recounting a tragic event from 35 years ago in North Vernon. In October 1987, Tiffany, a 16-year-old, met a gruesome end in her garage on her birthday. Within 2 days, Marissa perished at her family cabin, and on Halloween night, Heather was brutally killed in an amusement park's parking lot. All 3 victims were 16 and stabbed 16 times, earning their assailant the moniker, Sweet 16 Killer. The murderer ceased further killings, and their identity remained a mystery. The Sweet 16 Killer's mask became iconic, with people donning it every Halloween. In the present, local podcaster Chris Duba Sage offers chilling murder site tours each Halloween. Seemingly consumed by the true crime case, he appears to have little else in his life. In the next scene, we meet Jamie, a teenage girl preparing for a Halloween concert. Her mother, Pam, unexpectedly arrives and forbids her from going out. Pam's fear is rooted in her close friendship with the 3 girls murdered in 1987, a terror still alive 35 years later. Jamie insists on attending, confident in her self-defense skills. Blake, her father, intervenes and offers to drive her. He notices Pam receiving messages, which she dismisses as a mom group chat. Blake later drops Jamie off at her best friend Amelia's house, where he learns that Amelia's mother, Lauren, was an old classmate of his in Pam's. Lauren laments her Halloween work schedule before departing. Subsequently, Blake escorts the girls to the concert. Meanwhile, Pam finds herself home alone, and an unknown masked man arrives at her doorstep. Assuming it's a Halloween reveler, she offers candy, only to realize the man wields a knife. Panic sets in as she dials the police, but the intruder breaks in and attacks her. To her surprise, Pam's years of preparation kick in, and she manages to defend herself, brandishing a knife and warning of imminent police arrival, momentarily unnerving the assailant. He departs, but as Pam breathes a sigh of relief, he strikes from behind, delivering 16 fatal blows. Jamie, her daughter, is left shattered, while true crime podcaster Chris broadcasts live from outside. The following day, the police inquire about Blake's whereabouts during the murder. Speculations arise about Blake's involvement due to frequent texts between Pam and Chris, suggesting a possible affair. Jamie swiftly dismisses these suspicions, defending her father's character and placing blame on the police for their failure to apprehend the killer 35 years ago. After school, Jamie attends a science fair where her friend Amelia showcases a makeshift time-traveling machine. Amelia explains that her mother, Lauren, once worked on a similar project, but never completed it. Now, with her mother's old notes, she aims to construct a functioning time machine. The goal is to travel back to October 27, 1987, when the first murder occurred, in an attempt to prevent the tragic events. Later that evening, Jamie watches Chris's true crime podcast, but her father advises against it, condemning his exploitation of tragic events, especially the one from 35 years ago. The following day, Jamie confronts Chris at a cafe, directly questioning any involvement with her mom. He denies an affair, explaining their frequent texts were driven by Pam's commitment to solving the serial killer case. Chris reveals Pam had received a death threat from the killer after the last murder 35 years ago, implying she was the next target. Later, an upset Jamie returns to the science fair to meet Amelia, where the unexpected happens. The killer appears and attacks Jamie. Fleeing the killer, Jamie stumbles into a photo booth time machine, struggling to activate it. The killer follows but accidentally damages the control panel, triggering the machine with a surge of electricity. Jamie is transported back to 1987, the day of the first murder. She overcomes her initial shock, realizing the chance to save her mother and halt the killing spree. Placing an out-of-order sign on the time machine booth, she inquires about her mother, Pam, at the school where Pam was a student. Jamie assumes the identity of a Canadian exchange student, securing admission. In gym class, she encounters the 3 murdered girls, including her mother, who is unexpectedly a haughty bully. After class, Jamie learns of Tiffany's impending fatal birthday party. She attempts to persuade the girls to cancel, but they dismiss her. Frustrated, Jamie reports the impending murder to indifferent officers who insist their town is murder-free. With no other choice, Jamie investigates further, seeking information about Lauren, who remembers the time machine and the impending murders. Remarkably, Lauren believes Jamie due to the secret notebook's contents and the time machine plan. Jamie expresses her desire to thwart the killer, including her mother, and return to the future, reliant on Wi-Fi. However, since Wi-Fi didn't exist in 1987, she seeks Lauren's expertise to find an alternative solution. The scene shifts to 2023, where a frantic Blake reports Jamie's disappearance to the police. Amelia approaches, revealing Jamie's use of her time machine to travel into the past, met with skepticism by all except for Chris, who's intrigued. In 1987, Jamie and Lauren attended Tiffany's birthday party to prevent the murder. There, she encounters a bullied teenager, Doug, who would later become her principal. She's captivated by an attractive guy at the party, only to discover he's her father, Blake, dating Tiffany. Her parents, Blake and Pam, have yet to begin their relationship. Jamie strives to protect the three girls, but they reject her help, mocking her. Later, Tiffany goes upstairs with a boy, and when she returns from the bathroom, the boy is gone. In the tense moment, there's noises emanating from a closet and waits for the missing boy to emerge. Suddenly, the killer emerges and advances toward her, launching a brutal attack. Back at the loud party, Jamie desperately searches for Tiffany to protect her, but she arrives too late to find her lifeless body in her parents' bedroom. Despite her fear, Jamie realizes the potential to alter the past. Tiffany's death in the regular timeline's garage differs from her altered location in her parents' bedroom. Jamie and Lauren escort Pam home, unwilling to leave her alone with a murderer on the loose. When Pam inquires about Jamie's knowledge of the murder, Jamie claims psychic abilities in predicting victims. The trio decides to stick together for the night, and Jamie questions Pam about potential enemies. Pam admits that their history of bullying has made many people potential suspects. In 2023, a determined Amelia continues working on her time machine, aiming to rescue Jamie. Chris unexpectedly arrives, expressing interest in the time machine. During their conversation, Chris realizes he had misremembered the details. Tiffany's murder occurred in the bedroom, not the garage, as he initially thought. It becomes clear that Jamie's actions in the past are causing a ripple effect in the time continuum. Amelia and Chris inspect a 1987 photograph, confirming Jamie's journey to the past. In the altered timeline, Jamie attempts to deter the group from heading to the cabin, the scene of the next murder. She persuades Marissa to choose a city outing instead, and Marissa suggests going to her parents' condo, to which Jamie agrees. The teacher pairs Jamie with Damon, an unusual and frequently bullied boy, and she discovers peculiar drawings in his notebook. Later, Marissa and the girls pick up Jamie, heading to what they believe is Marissa's parents' condo. However, to Jamie's horror, it's the same eerie cabin in the woods where Marissa met her fate. Desperate to convince them to leave, Jamie's pleas fall on deaf ears as more friends arrive, eager to party at the cabin. Frustrated, Jamie attempts to establish safety rules but is locked out of the cabin and searches for a way in. Peering through a window, she glimpses unconscious Heather, one of the victims. Meanwhile, Marissa and another friend spend time outside, unaware that the killer is already inside the cabin, emerging from a closet and approaching Heather while turning up the radio. Heather regains consciousness just in time to escape the room, but the killer catches up, hurls her down the stairs, and attempts to kill her. This change in events results in Heather's death instead of Marissa. The remaining friends unite to confront the killer but are overpowered despite their survival. After the killer flees, they head to the police station to report the murder. Jamie offers the killer's blood for DNA testing, but the officers are unfamiliar with DNA. At school, Jamie discovers that Damon is just a normal nerdy boy unrelated to the killer, and Doug instructs them to enter the classroom. Following the incident, the group, along with Jamie, devises a plan to apprehend the killer. They intend to use Marissa as bait, since she's the final 1987 target, ready to capture him upon his arrival. Meanwhile, Lauren seeks the power to operate the time machine, working on transforming a popular attraction into a makeshift time machine for Jamie's return to the present. While in the present day, Chris assists Amelia in fixing their machine. On Halloween night, Marissa explores the amusement park, unaware of the killer trailing her. She enters a haunted house, where her friends anxiously await the killer. A confrontation unfolds as Jamie and her companions huddle in a room, battling to fend off the assailant. Jamie manages to stab him, but just as the killer readies a counterattack, one of Jamie's friends fatally stabs him from behind, unveiling their classmate Doug. Shockingly, a year prior, a tragic car accident claimed Trish's life, with Tiffany, Marissa, and Heather, the bullies, complicit in her demise as they cruelly nicknamed her Fat Trish. They had invited Trish for a sleepover, hoping to make her discuss her rumored affair with their coach, pressuring her relentlessly to drink more despite her visible distress. Inebriated, Trish left the house, leading to the fatal accident. Jamie's resentment toward her mother, Pam, flares up, but Pam clarifies her absence from the fateful sleepover due to a quarrel with Tiffany. Pam vehemently denies involvement. Verified by Marissa, Jamie questions why Doug left Pam a threatening note and later killed her in 2023. A second killer emerges, fatally attacking Marissa and pursuing Jamie, also killing Chris's father on live TV. They enter the functional time machine, with Lauren cautioning Jamie to stay inside to avoid a lethal impact. As Jamie and Lauren converse, the first killer reappears, prompting Jamie to activate the time machine. Unexpectedly, Pam arrives, leading to a confrontation. In the machine's acceleration, Jamie, Pam, and the killer are pinned to the wall. The killer stabs Pam, but Jamie pushes her mother out, unmasking the second killer as Chris from 2023. Chris confesses to inadvertently killing Doug, the original murderer, and slaying Pam for podcast fame. He had sent Jamie a fake warning note for notoriety. Tired of living in his father's shadow, he also murdered him. Chris advances on Jamie, leading to a fierce confrontation. Fortunately, Jamie gains the upper hand, using a nail gun to shoot Chris and kicking him into the spinning machine, ending his life. Returning to the present, Jamie arrives the day before Halloween in 2023, relieved to find her mother Pam alive and married to Blake. Lauren recollects the past events and informs Jamie about the timeline differences, maintaining a detailed record in a book. A man greets Jamie and enters the house. Lauren explains that her parents united earlier, and she now has a 34-year-old brother named Jamie, while her name is Colette. Lauren is a bioengineer, and Amelia remains her best friend. In this timeline, Chris resides in an Indian monastery, unaware that he is the one who killed his father on live TV in another dimension.